Krishna, good evening. So this evening we will discuss chapter 9 of the Nectar of Devotion. Before we start the study of the Nectar of Devotion, we offer our respect to Rupa Goswami and to the 6 Goswamis. Nana Shastra Vichayana Nipuna Sadharma Samstapakam Lokanamitakariנו Tribhuvane Manye Saranyakaram Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Matalikam Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujara Shri Jiva Gopalakam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, were very expert in scrutinizing, studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in transcendental service of Radha and Krishna. Today is also the disappearance day of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So we heard in the last sessions about the 64 items of devotional service, Friday Sadhana Bhakti. And we have discussed mainly the 21st, and we have discussed also how offenses to be avoided in devotional service. And today we will continue with the chapter entitled by Srila Prabhupada, Further Considerations of Devotional Service. So this chapter is concerned with the other, many other of these 64 items of devotional service that we'll be looking at the 44 additional items that so the first point Srila Prabhupada refers to, that of course is based on Rupa Goswami's teachings, is blasphemy. Blasphemy. So that so there's a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam that Sukadev Goswami tells Maharaj Pariksit, that's the 10th canto, chapter 74, text 40. My dear king, if a person, after hearing blasphemous propaganda against the Lord and his devotees, does not go away from that place, he becomes bereft of the effect of all pious activities. That, of course, that Lord Chaitanya, he says, that the devote should be more tolerant than a tree and more submissive than grass. That But in spite of Lord Chaitanya being humble, when he heard that how Lord Nityananda was injured by Jagai, Madai, then he came at the spot and he became very angry. He wanted to kill the offenders and was waiting for his shakra to appear. But Lord Nityananda begged him, please, please, don't forget your mission. That your mission is not to kill the offenders, but to kill their demoniac mentality within their heart. That anyway, Rupa Goswami, based on the scriptures, says there are 3 ways of dealing. That right, if someone, so the first is on the screen here. So if someone is hearing blasphemy by words, one should be so expert that he can defeat the opposing party by argument. Of course, that it depends, but usually to do that, one must be quite advanced, because the Kanishta Adhikar has practically no knowledge and poor faith. The Madhyama Adhikar was midway in the devotional service. He has knowledge and very strong faith, but is not able to defeat any opposing party. The Uttama Adhikar is able to convince others based on the scriptures. So if one cannot do that, what to do? Then the Rupa Goswami says plan B. That and that's an interesting option. It says if one is unable to defeat the opposing party, the next step is that he should not stand there meekly, but give up his life. Of course, it's also in the scriptures that you cannot kill a Brahman. And a Vaishnava is higher than a Brahman, so a devotee cannot do that. Then what's left? Plan C. Plan C. The third process is followed if he is unable to execute above mentioned 2 processes, and that is that one must leave the place and go away. So in the scriptures, you have that. So if one cannot follow these 3 processes, but in the scriptures it's also said that a pure devotee, that's a Nectar of instruction, a pure devotee in text 5 is that one who has become averse to criticize others, that he's an Uttam Adhikar, that he's on the highest platform. That so that is an important quality to develop. If one hears bad words or blasphemy of devotees or bringing other devotees down, just leave the place. Say, sorry, I have something else to do. Of course, those on the managerial platform, And those who are spiritual masters, those who are seniors, they may have to instruct juniors. But that's not blasphemy. That's trying to help them in their spiritual life. That's how one must learn to discriminate between that. So if a devotee does not follow the above-mentioned three processes, he falls down from his position of devotion. Very important to consider that better not hear all these things. I've seen many devotees, they want to go in so many things in ISKCON, and that's going wrong, and that is going wrong, and that is going wrong. But if it's not our service, why should we go in these issues? That someone asked Srila Prabhupada, what a journalist was asking, what do you think of this Swami? And he said a name. And Srila Prabhupada replied, I don't think of him. It was the end of the conversation. We don't have to go in all these issues. If it's not our service, just let it there, stay out of it. But if it's our service, that's another thing. So the Lord Chaitanya wanted to kill Jagai and Madai because of the injuries afflicted to Lord Nityananda. So when it's a question of honor of Krishna and his devotee, a devotee will not tolerate any insult. A devotee can be soft as a rose, but hard as a thunderbolt. That it depends. The next session is about tilak and tulsi beads. And this is first a quote from the Padma Purana. Persons who put tulsi beads on the neck will mark 12 places of their bodies as Vishnu temples with Vishnu symbolic representations, the 4 items in the 4 hands of Lord Vishnu, conch, mace, disc, and lotus, and where Vishnu tilak on the foreheads are to be understood as the devotees of the Lord in this world. Their presence makes the world purified, and anywhere they remain, they make the place as good as Vaikuntha. So that we are going out in dhotis, in saris with tilak. Why? Because that we are spiritual people. They are different from the others. That it is said, if people see that tilak on your forehead, they will remember, oh, that's the devotee of the Lord. That you help them to remember Krishna. That and it's such a nice culture. Even the demons were following Vedic culture. That Hiranyakasipu was still wearing a dhoti, was following Vedic culture. That so it's important that so then there is this instruction of the Yamaraj to the Yamadutas that and there Yamaraj instructed the Yamadutas, you never approach those with tulsi beads. And tilak says that you don't bring me these. No. Please stay far away from them. Because in the Skanda Purana is mentioned, purses were decorated with tilak or gopi chandan and will mark their bodies all over with the holy names of the Lord. And on those necks and breasts there are tulsi beads, are never approached by the Yamadutas. Some devotee asked my Guru Maharaj, but what happens if I can't think of Krishna at the time of death and I'm going to Yamaraj? That my Guru Maharaj said, Yamaraj is one of the 12 Mahajans. That's the association we want. You come before Yamaraj. What will Yamaraj see? He will see all what you have done, all your devotional activities. And when you see Yamaraj, what will you see? You will see Stilak. What will Yamaraj do? He will invite you at his home and he will read for you the Bhagavatam. So a devotee, if we are deeply engaged in devotional service, we should not be afraid of going to Yamaraj. Yamaraj is good association, that's the association we want. That is one of the Mahajans. So that's interesting. But the Yamadus are instructed, if they have tilak and beads, stay far away from them. And then he said, the next point is accepting flower garlands, and there is first a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, the Uddhav Gita, that's in the 11th canto. I know this verse I'm going to read because Bhakti Charamas was giving these lectures on the Uddhav Gita. And this is one of the last verses practically we discussed during these seminars. That he said, Uddhav says to Krishna, my dear Krishna, I've taken things which you have used and enjoyed, such as garlands of flowers, saintly articles, garments, or ornaments, and I eat only the remnants of your foodstuff, because I'm your menial servant, so therefore I'm sure that I shall not be attacked by the spell of the material energy. Interesting. The use devotee knows I'm the secondary enjoyer. First Krishna must enjoy, and then I enjoy what he has left, and that makes me free from the illusory energy. So powerful. That yes. And then there's another quote from the Skanda Purana about accepting flower garlands. My dear Narad, anyone who puts on his neck the flower garland which was formerly used by Krishna, become relieved from all disease and reactions to sinful activities, and Geldi is liberated from the contamination of matter. Yes. So, flower garlands. But I tell you a few stories about devotees and flower garlands. Jayapataka Maharaj was sitting with God brothers, and one of his disciples came and he wanted Jayapataka Maharaj to offer him a garland. But his guests, his God brothers, had no garlands. And he slapped him in the face. That's the etiquette. You first take care of the guest. One time I was traveling, like I did for many years, with Prahlad Maharaj, and we came in Sofia. I was his brahmacharya assistant. And he gave a lecture in the evening. And the devotees had made a beautiful garland for him. They wanted to offer him the garland. He said, no, I cannot accept that. This is offensive. Because look at the deities. The deities have no garland. Why should I then have a garland? So that's also etiquette. So accepting garlands as prasad from the deities protects us. That's the message here. And then it said about dancing before the deities. So this is a quote from Dvarka Mahatmya. This also mentioned here in Nectar of Devotion. A person who is jubilant, in a jubilant spirit, who feels profound devotional ecstasy while dancing before me, and will manifest different features of bodily expression, can burn away all the accumulated sinful reactions he has stocked up for many, many thousands of years. Vakeshvar Pandit was a great dancer. He could dance for hours and hours and hours before the deities. The famous dancer in Chaitanya Lila. Just dancing, that by dancing getting perfection. In the spiritual world, every step is a dance. Every word is poetry. Therefore the Bible is in poetry. Yes, jubilant. That's the natural position of the soul. Yes, that we become jubilant. We are always absorbed in Krishna's pastimes. Because these are items of Vaidhisana Bhakti. If we become purified, our devotion will become spontaneous attraction to Krishna. So dancing, it is said that this is another quote here about the dancing, that clapping and dancing before the deities burns away all sinful reactions. Just clapping. That someone showed me on their hand that they have a short lifeline. But if you're clapping your hands before the deities with devotion, then all these lines have no meaning anymore. Then we are not under the laws of karma, but Krishna karma. But, so, next point, maybe bowing down in honor for the deity. That, so one who bows down before the deity, it is said he goes to the abode of Krishna. Narada Purana. A person who has performed a great ritualistic sacrifice that, and persons who have simply offered these respectful obeisances by bowing down before the Lord cannot be held as equals. It's interesting that just bowing down, and you are greater than ritualistic sacrifices that all these Brahmins who do these sacrifices. That I remember that 10, this is 15 years ago, I was with Pralananda Mach in Serbia, and there was no one, and he was going to give initiations, and he said there was no Brahman to do the jagya. He said to me, "You do the jagya." I studied everything, and was the first time I did an initiation in Svaha. But anyway, but those who want material benefits, they do these jagyas, that which are technically it must be correct, or all the things, and then you get the benefit of the jagya. That, but yeah, it doesn't mean much. If you just bow down to the Supreme Lord, you are much more advanced than those who are specialized in these jagyas. That it is said that a person who has offered respects to the deities will not come back to this world, because he will go directly to the abode of Krishna. Just their faith, the deity is Krishna. That if you really have faith that the deity is Krishna, then you want to give Krishna the best out of love. That and that's also a form of offering respect, giving the best. My Guru Maharaj was very strict, always the best, the best. Today in the temple we sorted out the handkerchiefs, all the bad handkerchiefs with spots we removed, and we ironed the handkerchiefs. That has not been done in years here. That, and we looked at all the towels used for the deities, all those with spots we removed, and we washed the other things. We want to give the deity the best. That offering respect. That Then next point is standing up to receive the Lord. That frees you from sinful reactions. The Brahmana Purana, a person who sees the Lord's Ratha car festival and then stands up to receive the Lord can purge all kinds of sinful reactions from his body. That, yeah, it's very nice. Ratha Yatra, standing up to receive the Lord. The following point is following the deity. That here we have Sisirada Madhav, Pankajangri, on their lordships on the head, coming out of the temple for the elephant ceremony. That so this is from the Bhavishya Purana. Even if born of a lowly family, a person will follow the Ratha Yatra cart, must not care cart, when the deities pass in front or behind, will surely be elevated to the position of achieving equal opulences with Vishnu. It's quite a result that. But it is also, if the Srila Prabhupada writes, if the deity goes on a stroll in the street, if there's a parikram and the deity comes out, it's a duty of everyone to follow the deity. We should all follow the deity. So that's the culture. So next point is going to the temple of Vishnu or places of pilgrimage. And there, Rupa Goswami, he quotes Hari Bhakta Siddhodaya. So we have said in the beginning that Rupa Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, says they have collected the essence of all the scriptures, all quotes about bhakti, so that we don't have to do that, and put them all together for our benefit. So therefore, Rupa Goswami gives evidence from so many scriptures. Here you have the Hari Bhakti Siddhodaya. Persons who are impelled by pure devotion service in Krishna consciousness and would therefore go to see the deities of Vishnu in the temple will surely get relief from entering again into the prison house of a mother's womb. That's quite a point. So when you advance in Krishna consciousness, then, because it's in Bhagavad Gita, one who is in goodness, he knows what to be feared and what's not to be feared, what's binding, what is not binding. So a materialistic person, he has attachment and aversions based on his personal profit of enjoyment. But the devotee has other attachments and aversions. It's mentioned in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 8 to 12, 21 items of knowledge, the process of knowledge. And one of them is understand the evil of birth and death, the evil of entering again in the prison house of a mother's womb. And if one becomes very afraid of that, yeah, it's natural for one who is advancing Krishna consciousness. One knows, yes, I don't want to go to that again. And therefore it takes his devotional service very serious. I will not do anything but binds one. That one becomes afraid to commit offenses. one wants to follow the rules established by Srila Prabhupada, that the rules for deity worship and so on, that trying to follow strictly. But what Rupa Goswami is giving us. And Sanatan Goswami gives even more detailed instructions in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, that just by seeing the deity in the temple, one gets relief. That, of course, does not mean that one will not take birth again, but finally one will get relief. That it depends also about our desires. But yes, about this is people in India, it's tradition circumambulating a temple of Vishnu. A person who is circumambulating the deity of Vishnu can counteract the circumambulation of repeated birth and death in this material world. An interesting comparison. That yes. So it ends the repetition of birth and death. That it said also at the end, and by following Chaturmasya, one can be quickly raised to the platform of devotional service. So, following Chaturmasya is a way we will help those who do it to come to the platform of taking up devotional service. So it's a preliminary activity which is conducive for coming to that platform of deciding I'm going to take up devotional service. And then you have Archan. Archan, deity worship in the temple. Yeah, so we have the nine kinds of practices of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam. Archanam, worship of the deity. That, so this is, by executing this process, one confirms himself to be not a body, but a spirit soul. Because one acts as a spirit soul, one serves Krishna. Krishna is not different from the deity. That Rupa Goswami quotes from the Vishnu Rahasya. Any person who can arrange for service to the Lord in the same way that the king is given service by his attendants is surely elevated to the abode of Krishna after death. So this is about rendering devotional service. That so rendering devotional service. This is from the Narada Purana. If a person stays in the Lord's temple, even for a few moments, he can surely achieve the transcendental kingdom of God. That these are strong statements. We may think, oh, these are exaggerations, but that it is great beneficial. That, of course, when will it happen? We don't know. That but it's in the scriptures. That. And then the next point is, singing. That. And about singing, Rupa Goswami quotes from the Linga Purana. A Brahmin who is constantly engaged in singing the glories of the Lord is surely elevated on the same planet as the personality of God, that's Lord Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna appreciates this singing more than the prayers offered by Lord Shiva. And then Srila Prabhupada, he discusses different kinds of singing. First he says Sankirtan. Of course, Sankirtan, that word is many times used by Srila Prabhupada in a broad sense. He's calling book distribution also Sankirtan. Any form of glorification of Krishna is Sankirtan. Any way we share Krishna consciousness with others is Sankirtan. So it is said, this is from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, a person who chants the holy name of Krishna can counteract the resultant actions of more sinful activities than he is able to perform. And then Nam Sankirtan, this is the chanting of the holy name. This is from the Vishnu Dharma. My dear king, this word Krishna is so auspicious that one who chants his holy name immediately gets rid of the resultant actions of sinful activities for many, many births. From the Padma Purana. For any person who is chanting the holy name either softly or loudly, the path of liberation and even the heavenly planets are open. Also, Sankirtan is reciting pastimes. Simply by hearing about your pastimes, I shall get out of the contamination of material attachment. The next part is submission. And there the first point is submission. Submission refers to offering one's own prayers. Then reciting notable prayers refers to the repetition of scriptural prayers. Prayers are a very good way to develop our relationship with Krishna. Prayers is vandanam, archanam vandanam. Vandanam means prayer. So first, there are 3 levels of prayers mentioned in the Skanda Purana. Samprarthanatmika, very feelingly offering prayers. Danya Vodika, humbly submitting oneself. And Lala Samai, desiring some perfection on stage. So a form of submission, very feelingly offering prayers is the Gurvastikam, the Brahma Samhita. We are nothing asking in that prayer. It's just glorification, but it's a way to to develop our relationship with Krishna. We can share our concerns with Krishna. But like the Guruvastakam, we chant every morning. Samsara dava naladida loka. That, yes, that it's a glorifying of the spiritual master, but it's glorifying the activities of the spiritual master, how it serves Krishna. So Krishna is also glorified in it. That it's very feelingly offering prayers and notable prayers. Guruvastakam and Brahma Samhita are notable prayers. That yeah, when Srila Prabhupada was in New York, he got his heart attack, and he asked the devotees to pray that our spiritual master has not completed his work. Please help him to complete his work. And so Prabhupada would many times mention in his prayers, if you so desire. That's important. I know that when Gurujan Prabhu, when he was announcing something, he will say, yes, we will meet tomorrow if Krishna willing. If Krishna willing. That's always a consideration. That we can never say this will happen tomorrow. No, if maybe that Krishna willing. That so some prarthanatmika, offering feelingly prayers, and Daimvodika, humbly submitting oneself, and Lala Samaya, desiring some perfectional stage. Yes, examples are given that this is Arjuna prays to the. We have examples of notable prayers. Arjuna is praying to the universal form. Prayers of Queen Kunti when Krishna was leaving Lord Dwarka, and the prayers of Gajendra, the Lord Vishnu. Very beautiful prayers, but the Bhagavatam is full of prayers, full of so many prayers. One of the most famous prayers are the prayers of Akrura, that beautiful prayers, that the prayers of Uddhava to Krishna, 2 places, that so many prayers in the Bhagavatam. So it is said in the Nrsimha Purana, any person who comes before the deity of Lord Krishna and begins to chant different prayers is immediately relieved from all the reactions of sinful activities and becomes eligible without any doubt to enter into Vaikuntha Loka. Now, the next point hereafter, that few last points in this chapter is partaking of prasad. Persons who honor prasad and regularly eat it immediately can achieve the results of pious activities which are obtained through 10,000 performances of sacrificial rites. That just by honoring prasad, of course, the devotee is not interested in pious activities, but That's in the Padma Purana, very, very powerful. Also, the drinking of Charanamrita, Padma Purana. When one who takes Charanamrita will become eligible to enter into the kingdom of God if he simply drinks the Charanamrita, which is kept in the temple. And then there are quotes about smelling the incense and the offered flower to the deity. Smelling the incense offered to the deity cures one from material contamination. And then touching the deities, but that's for Brahmins. In the Vishnu Dharmotara, only a person who is initiated as a Vaishnava and is executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness has the right to touch the body of the deity, who is initiated. Yeah. Then seeing the deity, the Vara Purana. My dear Vasundar, any person who goes to Vrindavan and sees the deity of Govindadev is free from the courthouse of Yamaraj and is allowed to enter into the highest planetary systems in which reside the demigods. Of course, pure devotees, they are not interested in that. They just want to serve the Lord. The heavenly planets is not a desired destination for pure devotees. It's like hell, because too much opportunity for sense gratification. And then observing Arti and celebrations of the Lord. So, this last point, if someone sees the face of the Lord while the Arti is going on, he can be relieved of all sinful reactions coming from many, many thousands and millions of years. He is even excused from the killing of a Brahmin or similar prohibited activities. Just by seeing the deity when the Arti is going on. So good to have Arti in the morning and the evening. And it's an interesting benefit. So these are the further consideration of devotional principles. Next session, we will speak about techniques of hearing and remembering. And that's a very important chapter also. So, are there any questions on the items we have discussed this evening?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, when you were talking about, in the very beginning, about the tolerance a devotee should display. If people abuse us or mistreat us, the examples come to mind of Prahlad, who didn't retaliate when his father was abusive to him and to the point of wanting to kill him. So I was just wondering, if devotees are abused by people, or we should tolerate, but shouldn't our vision also be that, since we are also a part and parcel of Krishna, we are, and Krishna is in our heart, should we not view that if people abuse us, we are also part and parcel of Krishna? So therefore, should we just allow it, or should we retaliate, or at least protect or keep ourselves out of a dangerous situation if someone abuses us?
Thank you, Vinod Manjari, for that question. That's very nice. That I would say that first consideration is a devotee does not consider or takes it very serious if someone offends him. That for himself is very tolerant, but not for other devotees. Then he becomes like fire. But for himself, that's the mood that we discussed before in the classes in the morning. Tatena kampamsa samikshama punchachi vadmagi tampi bakam itvakva prabhuya fidadamaste shivetio mukti pade sadaya bak. The devotee never thinks himself purified.
Yeah.
The more advanced you become, the more you feel you go backwards. That and it's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Kayena mansavka kevla yarapi yoga kavandi karmani sanya chatvatma sudaye. The yogi always acts for purification of one's existence with body, mind, and words. So a devotee thinks, yes, I have to go to this situation for my purification. And Krishna gives me this situation, and I have to learn. I'm a complete nonsense. Yeah. So that's how an advanced devotee sees himself, and he sees this whatever bad happens to him as Krishna's mercy to correct him. And he sees, oh, Krishna, give me only a small reaction. That I remember always Bhujan's words that someone asked him, Bhujan, to Bhujan, are you self-realized? And he said, yes, I'm self-realized. I realized I'm a complete nonsense. And that is a devotee. He feels very fallen inside. That when you advance, then it doesn't get better. That feeling, because the Uttamadikar finally is one who sees all the others as devotee, but he feels himself, I'm not yet a devotee. That and that may seem contradictory, but that's the process of devotional service. So a devotee does not consider it important, or if someone mistreats him or whatever, said yes, whatever Krishna will I to go to. That does not mean that we become that we lose our intelligence. That if there are dangerous situations, we get out of it. That we should also use our intelligence, but that feeling, that inner feeling is there. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Taking interesting point. Someone else has a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a nice class. Maharaj, the slides before where you spoke about paying obeisances to the deity, and if by doing that you go to Vishnu Loka.
Yeah, let's go back.
Here, yeah, I think it was the next slide, I think. this was yeah. They don't come back to this world, and they go directly to the abode of Krishna. And it's dichotomy. I'm trying to understand. So as practicing sadhakas, that's one of the things that we do every time we enter the temple. We offer obeisances to the deity. Similarly, if we have deities at home, we offer obeisances first thing in the morning, and so on and so forth. We also know that unless there's anartha nivritti, and unless we are purified, you don't go directly to the abode of Krishna. There has to be a stage to be eligible to go there. So I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
It says here just bowing once, or even the previous slides, it says just doing this once is enough for all the sins to go.
When I read that, I'm thinking about other quotes that it's in the 7th canto, Lord Nrsimhadev says to Prahlad Maharaj, 21 generations of your family will be liberated. That 21 generations. It means your family in this life, in the previous life, in the life before, the life before. But what does this mean?
That everybody takes their time, isn't it? They get liberated, but not necessarily in that one lifetime.
First, you must want to become liberated. Krishna will not force it upon you. That second is how it's true. The person will go back to the Supreme, to the abode of Krishna. But how Krishna will arrange that is up to Krishna.
Okay, I got it. Similarly, there's another one about mother's womb. They will not come back again into the womb, the slide.
Yeah. That.
Yeah. Again, does that mean that it's the next birth? They don't have another birth, is what it means, isn't it?
That is what it means, yes. But there is also the following, that I bow down for the deities. I bow down with my body. But you have to bow down with your heart. Your consciousness must be there. And that's important. That I illustrate that with another point. So in the morning there was in a temple a Bhagavatam class. And after the class, one devotee said to another, why did you not why were you not present in the Bhagavatam class this morning? And the other devotee said, but I was there, I was sitting at the back. And the other devotee said, yes, I saw your body was there, but I saw that you were busy with other things. So you were not there. Who are you, the body or the soul, the consciousness? The consciousness must be there. So that's the point. Bowing down does not mean just bowing down with the body.
Say, even hypothetically, you say we bow down with the consciousness. But just once is not enough, really, no, Maharaj?
There must be submission. If one does it once in full submission, this statement applies. But it's not easy. That because we are mostly contaminated. but our consciousness must be there because we are the consciousness. So you must be present in everything what we do. If you are cooking for Krishna, you speak about utter nonsense, or you have a phone call about this and that while cooking for Krishna. You are not there with your consciousness. You cannot put devotion in the food. So these are all important things. That it is subtle, but in the beginning, because we are neophytes, we don't get that. Our activities are external, mechanistic. But we must do it. The living entity must do it. The living entity means the consciousness. So that's important. Yeah. Of course, by doing things mechanistic, later the consciousness will follow. That I think it was Gargamuni in New York who said to Prabhupada, he said to Prabhupada, must I bow down before you? Because I feel not doing that. And Srila Prabhupada said, by doing it, the feeling will come. So by bowing down before the deity, then surely, if we continue to do it, we will become purified and the feeling will come. And then we honestly bow down.
So does that mean in the slide before where they've said just bowing down once really means bowing down completely with pure consciousness?
I don't know, but how that has to be interpreted, I don't know. But we cannot say that the scriptures are exaggerations. So we have to accept it. But how it is true, that's another thing.
The next slide, Maharaj, where it talks about the mother's womb.
Mother's womb, that was before.
No, not this one. So before where it talks about you don't come.
It's afterwards, Maharaj.
Was it afterwards?
Circumambulating the temple. It comes there.
Yeah, right. Circumambulating the temple. Here, yes.
Yeah.
Can contract circumambulation. Yeah.
But then,
it says can contract.
Yes. No, this is okay. Next one, where it talks about the mother's womb. This is not what I was saying. The next, maybe after this.
Yeah. The mother's womb.
It says something similar, saying that after that, this is the one. Yes, released from entering again into the prison house of a mother's womb, which means actually no birth again, isn't it?
Yeah, we will surely get relief from entering again.
Exactly. But then again, they go just to see a deity of Vishnu in the temple. Just by seeing a deity, you're getting liberated, is what it's saying, isn't it?
Yeah, but Srila Prabhupada says also, if you have not faith in the deity, that the deity is the Supreme Lord, you will see stone.
Yeah, no, let's assume as practicing sadhakas, we're still seeing the deity and we have complete conviction. We may be even doing service. Even then, while we're doing service, we know for sure that we're not qualified. There's a long way to go.
Yeah.
How do we, there's a long way, there's a lot of anartha nivritti, purification has to happen.
Yeah, I think that these statements will certainly be true for someone with straight faith. It depends on your faith. That if you don't have faith, Krishna says, there will not be happiness in this life and in the next. What about to get relief from entering again the prison house of a mother's womb? So if these things, these points are executed with faith, but to have this faith, one must be at least on the Madhyam platform. That I was just, because I'm discussing with Prithu Prabhu. Prithu Prabhu is one of the first disciples of Prabhupada in Germany. And he was a Christian before, and I was a Christian before, and a practicing Christian. And by that we are working together on a book that says how to see Jesus Christ through the Vedic scriptures. And in the Bible, Jesus says, yes, to enter into the kingdom of God, one must become like children. Children, they have faith in whatever you tell them, practically. And with that simple faith, they accept. It's a very deep faith that, so in that say, we should become like children and have that deep faith, simple faith. But by becoming elder, adult, and so on, so we become contaminated by so many desires and dust and all these things. And we get more faith in the material world. That simple faith, like Prahlad Maharaj was 5 years old, Dhruva Maharaj was 5 years old. That Prahlad Maharaj is said to the his schoolmates, just, I came to Krishna consciousness just by having faith in the words of my spiritual master. And if you have the same faith in my words, which I repeat for my spiritual master, you will also get the same results. Just faith. That so for it's certainly true, these statements, for those who have faith in it. But if you don't have faith, then why should Krishna do these things? You don't believe in him. You don't believe what he says.
No, Maharaj, faith is there, but we just know that we are not purified. There's a long way for liberation. That is my presentation. That there is faith, there is practice, and the process is there. There is no doubt about that. Implicitly following, but this seems so far-fetched that just by seeing a deity of Vishnu.
But faith one can really have when heart is purified. And that's very important. These are not going together, cannot be separated. You cannot say, I'm not yet purified, but I have faith, great faith. No. If you are purified, you are free from doubts. If you are not purified, there are doubts.
Yeah, understand.
And that's mentioned in the Bhagavatam also. So that's therefore. Anyway, interesting point. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I understood now.
Any other question?
Thank you, Maharaj. I think I was not a question, but I think I was comparing exactly what you said now to the story of I don't remember the whole thing, that there was this very cobbler and the Brahman story.
Yeah. Eye of the elephant, no? The needle through the eye of the elephant.
Exactly, yeah. I was thinking of that story.
Yeah.
Krishna can do anything, really.
Yeah.
That is faith in the omnipotence of the Supreme Lord. And a devotee sees that in a seed of a banyan tree, a small little seed there is the potency to create another tree with again so many seeds and then again so many trees. So that potency is in that little seed. If Krishna can put his potency in that little seed to create so many banyan trees in the future, then one understands the potency of the Supreme Lord. Someone asked Bhakti Charamaj that said, can Krishna create a hill which is so heavy that he cannot lift it? And my Guru Maharaj said, yes, he can create such a hill, and still he will lift it. So that's inconceivable for us, this potency of the Supreme Lord. But that's glorified by his devotees. Thank you. Good. Thank you very much. Then we will continue next week with chapter 10, techniques of hearing and remembering. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada. Hare Bo.
Thank
Thank you so much for us.
you so much,
Hare
Maharaj.
Bo.